Welcome back. You're tuned to the Real Estate Guys radio program. I'm your host, Robert Helms.
Need help with your real estate investment portfolio? Check out the resources page at realestateguysradio.com.
In uncertain times like this, it's great to know there are two things you can always count on: high demand for affordable single-family homes to live in, and Terry Kerr's amazing Memphis team at Mid-South Home Buyers to find, fix, and manage the next addition to your recession-resistant real estate portfolio. The Memphis market is logistics and distribution dynamo with an economic engine that's essential to moving goods and critical supplies all over the United States. Quality rehab, proven profitable property management, affordable rents, and solid ROI make turnkey property investing through Terry's team a dream when it matters most. To learn more about Memphis and Mid-South Home Buyers, send an email to midsouth@realestateguysradio.com. That's midsouth@realestateguysradio.com.
Having trouble finding deals where the numbers make sense? Invest in an asset class that delivers cash flow to you in good times and bad, and where most of that cash flow is tax-free. I'm Dave Zook. Many of you have heard me speak at Real Estate Guys events or heard me on their podcast. My team is a top 5 ATM operator in the country, and right now accredited investors can make cash flow returns well into the double digits and get huge tax deductions. For your free report on this lucrative asset class, email atm@realestateguysradio.com.
Hi, this is Garrett Sutton, Rich Dad's advisor. Remember, equity happens, and you're listening to The Real Estate Guys.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Guys radio program, and thanks for tuning into the show. Tell a friend about the Real Estate Guys, and if you've ever wanted to do bigger deals using other people's money or invest passively with other investors, then come on out to the Secrets of Successful Syndication. Happens the last weekend in March, live in Dallas, Texas. Get all the details on our website at realestateguysradio.com under events. Well, we've certainly got some great insight today. Before we get out of here, let's find out what the outlook may be for precious metals. Joining us today, the editor of the Gold Newsletter and the organizer of the New Orleans Investment Conference. Let's say hello to Brian London.
Great to be with you, Robert, as always.
Yes, it's always a pleasure, and it was fun hanging out in New Orleans, even though there were just a few of us this year. A lot of people on the conference virtually. Before we're done, we're going to give them the dates for the 2021 New Orleans Investment Conference. It's the oldest running investment conference in the United States, and Brian, you always put on a heck of a great time, and what a interesting jump to virtual, but I thought it worked amazingly well.
Yeah, it did. You know, I think we were very innovative. We had a lot of ideas on how to do a virtual event. We tried to recapture a lot of the ambiance, the intellectual energy of being there in New Orleans with a lot of really smart people. And a lot of that's impossible to replicate, as you know, but we did pretty well. And no small thanks to you as one of our MCs. And Russ also contributing and moderating panels and doing your presentations with you. It was really spectacular. We did not have a single complaint from the content. All we had was praise. And I don't know how you can do any better than that. So
love that. Well, always a challenge to get, bright people together. Virtual, I know, made it so you could bring some folks in that sometimes have trouble to get into New Orleans. And really, this show today is about painting a picture of where we're going. We're tapping in to our network of smart people. And I think, obviously, let's talk about the metals. So you pay attention to what happens in the metals market, and there's a lot going on there. The last few weeks have been kind of a roller coaster ride. Tell us what's happening and what you're watching in 2021 when it comes to gold and silver.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's an established pattern of the early year being very bullish for gold and silver and the associated mining stocks. And it actually usually starts about mid-December. This past year, it actually started in late November. November 24th was the bottom, and prices started rising after that. And we got just 2 great days right out of the gate in the new year, and then bam, we had a big sell-off in gold. And what happened was that interest rates, real yields for the 10-year Treasury yield benchmark specifically, just absolutely spiked when all of a sudden they realized, Republicans lost the Georgia elections. The Democrats are in full control. We're going to have this huge tsunami of spending and more quantitative easing, et cetera, coming down the pike. The bond market did not take it that well. It spiked rates to considerably over 1% on the 10-year, and inflation expectations didn't rise along with that. So what happened was the real yields actually rose, and they didn't get more negative. So they got less negative. And the direction of real yields in the short term is the predominant indicator, factor driving the gold price and the silver prices. So we had a big sell-off. And I think we're going to have more of that volatility throughout this year because we're going to get these inflation shocks coming. And the bond market will be the first to react, and then we'll get the actual inflation. And then real yields will resume their downtrend, and the metals will resume their uptrend. But this interplay between yields and inflation expectations, that's going to create the wiggles on the line in the uptrend, I think, for the metals this year. So there'll be volatility, but don't let it shake you out of the market, because with all this money coming down the pike, metals prices are almost assuredly going to rise.
Well, that's the thing we need to not lose sight of, right? Big picture is that there is so much metal, and certainly there are miners and junior miners and folks that you deal with all the time who are increasing the supply. But overall, the supply is fairly constant, and yet what's not constant is the printing of dollars. And if it's true with the new government that we're going to see more printing of money, then really gold only has one way to go long term. I know you pay attention to where it goes every single day, but big picture, real estate investors, they aren't going to get in and out and trade. They're going to think about having some in their portfolio long term. So paint the picture of how someone like a listener of ours who primarily invests in real estate may want to hold on to some metals.
Well, the size of the debt right now, people ask me, what are the factors that are driving gold up? And I said, there's three predominant factors: debt, and debt.
Yeah.
And it's like real estate and in that manner. The debt demands now that the currency, the underlying currency that the debt is denominated, has to be devalued, because the debt is crushing at these levels. It also means that interest rates can't rise to any appreciable extent or rise to any real, on an inflation adjusted basis, being positive at all, because the cost of servicing the federal debt would crush the federal budget. So rates have to be ultra low to negative, and the currency has to significantly depreciate. The only way to protect yourself from that is by owning physical metals and other assets as well, real estate, tangible assets, et cetera. But from a monetary standpoint, the monetary metals, gold and silver, are the predominant and most effective ways of really ensuring your wealth against the steady and inevitable depreciation of the currency. So don't worry about what's going on today or next week. Look 2, 3 years, 5 years down the road and know that the dollar's got to be much cheaper against real things, against that debt. And the way to ensure yourself against that is through precious metals.
Well, we wanted to wrap up on today's show with your perspective, because while a lot of our guests have talked about things that are likely to happen this year and things like the eviction moratoriums in real estate and what we're seeing in terms of interest rates, gold and silver have a long-term play for people. Certainly there are ways to get involved with the mining stocks and so forth, and you do a great job in Gold Newsletter of addressing that, but you also address just the basic fundamentals of the market, which we appreciate. Hey, before we get you out of here, coming up, it's going to be later this year, the New Orleans Investment Conference 2021. Give us the dates and tell us what you can so people can pencil this in on their calendars.
October 17th through 20th, and we are going full guns, pedal to the metal, with a live in-person event. There'll be a full component, there'll be a hybrid, but it's going to be a big welcoming party, a coming home event. It's going to be, I believe, the first big investment event that's actually going to be in person. We're knocking on wood that everything will be fairly normal at that point, fairly safe to travel. And we're going for it. And I think it's going to be, from what I've heard from our attendees, our exhibitors, our speakers, everybody's so eager to get back to New Orleans. So it's going to be just a real blockbuster event.
Well, I can't wait. It's always a highlight of our year, and you can count on us being there. There's Brian London. You can find out more about what Brian does with Jefferson Companies, and that is both the New Orleans Investment Conference, which is an annual amazing gathering of folks, not just talking about metals, but talking about all kinds of real assets, as well as the gold newsletter. If you're thinking about getting into the metals, the newsletter is just a really cool way to get your mind around it. I know the first time I came to the conference, Brian, I didn't know much about the metals, but just your exhibitors and your speakers are so easy to talk to, eager to teach people, and you make it simple for people to understand. And yet sometimes I look at things like those core drillings and stuff and go, man, there's so much I don't know, but we appreciate what you're doing for the world, my friend.
Thank you, Robert. And what you guys are doing, we've so enjoyed our association with your group over these last 6-7 years. It's just been fantastic.
In fact, Brian will be joining us for the 2021 Investor Summit on the Sand, along with Peter Schiff, Ken McElroy, Tommy Hopkins, Brad Sumrock, and many more. You get all the details by sending an email to summit@realestateguysradio.com. That's summit@realestateguysradio.com. It's filling up fast, but there's room for you if you'll hurry. To get on our advance notice list to learn more about the 2021 New Orleans Investment Conference and the Real Estate Guys annual private suite party, just send an email to neworleans@realestateguysradio.com. neworleans@realestateguysradio.com. Hey, big thanks to all of our panelists today who stuck their necks on the line saying what they are looking at and what they are hoping for and what they're thinking might happen in the new year. If 2020 taught us anything, it's that anything can happen. But we'll be here with you every week in 2021, bringing you great guests and cool insights. Until next week, go out and make some equity happen.
This episode of the Real Estate Guys radio show is brought to you by Paradigm Life. Powerful cash management strategies using life insurance. Learn more at beyourbank.com. Mid-South Home Buyers. Low-cost, turnkey cash flow properties in Memphis, Tennessee. Corporate Direct. Asset protection strategies for real estate investors from attorney and Rich Dad advisor Garrett Sutton. Find these and other great companies under the Resources tab at realestateguysradio.com. To learn how you can expose your product or service to the Real Estate Guys audience, call 888-489-7723 extension 4. That's 888-489-7723 extension 4. Or use the feedback page at realestateguysradio.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week right here on the Real Estate Guys Radio Show.